Awesome, Brian. Well, first and foremost, thanks very much for joining us here. Guess we can't really complain. It's Monday, it's sunny, and at least where I'm not where you're from, where I'm from, freezing cold right now at home, and
Oh,
maybe some snow. So I guess this might be cold for you, right?
no, this is beautiful for me. I'm loving this. We had a little bit of a, I shouldn't say cold front. I know our Floridians use the word cold, and everyone else laughs at us and everything. But I feel like a cool front would be a good way to describe it last week. And from what I understand, I think we got a cool front that came through last night. But this is wonderful.
Well, yeah, no, definitely there. Well, again, I thank you for joining us here, Brian, and I think I've had the privilege, I will say, opportunity to really get to know you we've been on the road a few times together and spent some good quality time, and I definitely see you guys getting to know Rob. I've known Rob for several years, I guess now, but some real leaders out there in the industry. So love a little background about you, buddy. We're always talking about how you guys are taking it to the next level and stuff. So maybe a little bit about you and how you got in this and all the good stuff you've done.
It's a long story. It's my background is in baseball. I played baseball all the way through college. Went to Clemson University. Had a chance to play with some very talented people over the years. I always say everyone that I ever roomed with got drafted except for me. So I must have been a good luck charm for everybody else. But I was fortunate when my career was coming to an end and at the end of '99 and everything. I happened to be in literally one of those right places at the right times. I was sitting in a restaurant. I was late coming back from a game due to some rehab stuff, okay. And happened to be sitting next to a guy who turned out to be a Yankee scout, offered me an opportunity to kind of get involved in the business side of baseball after I was done playing. And once I was done with that, kind of touched base with an old childhood friend of mine, Matt Bomeisel, who was starting up Prospect Wire. Had run a couple of showcases, 2005, 2006, and 2007, and at the time I was out of baseball a little bit. I was trying to kind of refresh and everything, and I said, okay, let's get back into this. I had a little bit of a scouting background with the Yankees, so okay. He was looking for a scout for Prospect Wire, and October 2008, I worked what was called our All Florida Showcase, which is still probably one of the most talented events that we ever had in terms of players that were there that went on to have pretty decent careers, and was kind of started doing this with scouting and everything. I never want to joke about anyone's mental health, but in 2010, Matt was doing the tournaments and kind of had a little bit of a nervous breakdown. We had 24 teams, which is the most we'd ever had at the time, and in one tournament, and it rained, and he kind of sort of froze up a little bit, and I was put on the spot to try to finish a tournament, and from that day forward, I started doing all the tournaments and everything for Prospect Wire. And as we grew in the business, we started just in Florida, moved out to Arizona in 2012, started running events there. In 2016, we were encouraged to come to California and tackle that beast of a state, which we've been doing now successfully since 2016. And along the way, we've added events and getting ready to make our biggest expansion. But in 2019, we were sold. Matt sold the company to DS Sports Ventures, a company based out of the Orlando area. They have a couple other companies under their belt, Russ Matt Baseball, Greater Orlando, and Nations, and those kind of things. And so we began starting to learn how to work with an actual, a corporation group. We had been privately owned and kind of operated as a mom and pop organization for so long. Finally got the chance to have a little bit of backing and support behind us, and technology was improving. And at the end of 2019, Matt moved on to go kind of do his own thing, and I was fortunate enough to get promoted to the vice president's role, and a year later took over the president's role, where I've been ever since.
Good for you.
21. So
good for you. Good for you. Yeah, I think one of the things I feel like we got some of our good conversations going, and with even chat with our team, is how future looking you guys are. I feel like you have a lot of focus on technology. How do we take the next level? Anything you want to share there?
It's a different world. I'll admit I'm an old school guy. I come from an old school background in terms of, when I say that, baseball scouting, what I see with my eyes is tells me what I need to know. But I've learned along the way that the advancements we have in technology now with the radar, the data capturing, whether it's through Doppler radar type things like TrackMan or FlightScope, whether it's through opticals like Yakkertech has, or even if it's just simple handheld devices like Pocket Radar and Stalker and those kind of things. There's a piece for it all in the baseball world. It's not just, as one of our colleagues, Johnny Gomes, likes to say, it's a puzzle. baseball is a puzzle and scouting is a puzzle. And when you're evaluating players, yes, it's great to see the player in person. Your eyes can see them. But if you also have data that supports that in the background, it gives you just that a little bit of an extra boost, almost like performance enhancing, drugs would do for an athlete. Okay. Same kind of thing in the scouting world. It's almost like a PED for scouting, is to be able to have that numbers, because as they say, the numbers don't lie. But if you back those numbers up with what you're actually seeing, it starts to paint a little bit better of a picture. So
truly, how do you balance that though? Because there is I get, like you said, there's the human eye to it, right? And you always trust your instincts, especially when I'm sure you're scouting or putting on these events. But how do you balance that, or what takes precedent at the end of the day? What's your final decision? Is it through the technology, or is it my gut's telling me this?
I was always taught stick to your gut. I was taught by several of my mentors when I was with the Yankees. If you believe in something, stick with it. Whether it's right or wrong, whether someone questions it, stick with it and have the conviction to stand by whatever it is you are doing. And I feel like at the end of the day, your gut is the ultimate end all be all. There's not numbers can't tell you everything. Numbers can't tell you if a kid has a certain personality type. Numbers can't tell you if the kid if he's antisocial. Numbers can't tell you anything about a kid's mental health situation. So while I think the numbers do help in a way, being able to see the kids, being able to talk to the kids in person. When I was scouting with the Yankees, one of the best things that you could ever do was those in-house visits, because it was a chance for you to not only get to talk to the kid, but talk to his parents, and get to know what his background is like, and know what his upbringing was like. So
nice. Big plans for 2024. Taking over the world, but I know you've been visiting a lot of destinations, growing there. Anything you want to share of where you're seeing yourselves and Prospects Wire go?
Yeah, so a few things I can't talk about quite yet, but we'll have some announcements coming up probably at the ABCA convention here in January. But will be our biggest year coming forward with Prospect Wire. I think we're when it's all said and done, just going to be just north of 40 events for the first time.
Good for you guys.
We are moving into some new locations: Ogden, Utah, Rochester, Minnesota, Charlotte, North Carolina, Sterlington, Louisiana, Pecos, Texas. Want to make sure I don't miss anything. And Battle Creek, Michigan will be new locations for us in 2024. And most of those relationships have all been built at conferences like these, which has been the cool thing. I always say I'm a veteran in the industry. It'll be my 15th year in 2024. And out of those 15 years, this is my first year on a full-blown conference kind of tour. As I like to say, I've only ever done ABCA and teams both, in the past, but all the new events that we have, the relationships were cultivated out of Connect and Sports ETA and the Relationship Conference and places like this. So it's been a very cool, different experience to come out and meet all these new CVBs and people like yourself and just get to see how much bigger the world really is than I thought it was.
Yeah. Cool. Where do you see I feel like you probably have such a background with the scouting side. Now you're getting, if I can say, growing like crazy on the growth of the sport tourism CVB side. Yeah. Where do you see this industry going in 2024? What's some key things? Is it more of these relationships, technology, a combination of both?
I think at some point eventually the technology is going to burst. I think eventually, like anything else, it gets saturated and people start to kind of go, okay, well, I've had enough of the technology thing. At the end of the day, baseball is baseball, and the sport itself will always be there. It's always been in good hands. It will continue to be in good hands. The youth that are in today's sport, especially like at the major league level, the collegiate level, the exposure that kids are getting today through social media, whether it's good or bad. There's just so many more opportunities, but I feel like at some point it's going to have to scale itself back. I feel like I've seen certain companies kind of take a step back and go, okay, instead of flooding the market with 52 events a year and everything, let's step back a little bit and maybe create more quality events rather than just an event to run an event kind of thing. So
I really agree with that, because if I speak on how I feel about EventConnect and supporting our partners, obviously we're very gun-ho to have the leading technology and keep pushing the envelope there. But even how you said about a scout still needing that human eye, we still need that human eye. We still need that. There's still that hospitality. You still got to put on a great event and have great staff members doing it. And that's, I think, how we feel is like the industry is catching up, needing the technology, but it always is going to need that hospitality, customer service side behind. And that's probably where we can only go so fast, because at the end of the day, I think we're all doing this the same. We want to put on good experiences for those kids. We want them to want to come back to the next Prospects Wire event, and hopefully that would be a next EventConnect event as well. It's all that partnership side of it, if I can say.
I'd 100% agree with that. I think as we were just sitting inside and we were listening to to Jenny and Dr. Bruckle talk and to Eddie, I think one of the things they kept harping on and everything was that this is a community, this is a family and everything. But I think the biggest thing I took away from that was always trying to be the best you that you can be. Control what you can control. And when I started in this business, everyone runs baseball. In our side of the industry, everyone runs baseball tournaments. There's a Perfect Game, Prospect Select, USSSA, 5-tool, etc. Everyone runs basically the same tournaments. Baseball is baseball, and on the field of play, it all looks the same. Whether some companies are a little bit more on the data side, some do a little bit more on the exposure and video side. But I feel like at the end of the day, the one thing that I always told myself that I could control the most was how I treated my customers. So when I first started in this, when I first started and we expanded outside of the state of Florida, I took every phone call that came in from the West Coast at midnight, East Coast time and everything, or 1 o'clock in the morning, because I wanted them to feel like they had someone that they could call and talk to at an hour that they thought might be normal for them. It was kind of my own worst doing. It led to some bad habits that I've had to learn how to scale back in my own professional career. But I always felt like the one thing you could always do was answer a question. If someone sent me an email, I'm not waiting 5 days to respond to the email. If I'm in front of a computer or I've got my phone in my hand and I'm not doing something at that moment, I'm going to give them an answer because that's what I would expect back.
Sure.
And I think that's the one thing that we can control more than anything else is that ability to go, yes, yes, I have your answer here. No, I don't, but give me 10 minutes and I'll go find that answer for you. Or just a simple, I always tell my staff, it doesn't matter if it's the most simple email in the world. If it can be answered in a couple of days, that's fine, but shoot them a message back and just say, I'm involved with this and this, but I will be getting back to you in the next 48 hours. So I think the customer service aspect of it, the relationship aspect is important. I've said this a couple times this year, as I've gotten older in this business, to me, it's not so much about how much money Prospect Wire makes anymore. It's not how much money I can make and what kind of lifestyle I can live. It's, do I want to work with the people that I'm running events with?
Fair.
Do I enjoy, the conversations that I'm having? I've had some of the best conversations with some of these new CVB people that I have had a chance to get to know over the last few months, and some of those relationships, just getting messages from them saying, hoping you're having a happy Thanksgiving, wishing me a happy birthday back in September, little things like that you take for granted over the course of your career and everything. But as you get older, you start to realize that those are the people that you want to finish your career with. You want to be able to say, you know what, when I leave, these are the people that remember me for what I did, and hopefully I left a good mark in this and along the way. So
so true. There's so many good people in this industry, and I think we all have similar goals and visions and wanting to help each other and just grow what we know is a great thing, sports tourism. No one's going to argue that the benefits that sports can bring, baseball tournaments, soccer tournaments, whatever it can be. And
no,
it's true. And we think of it like, yes, we want to continue to grow, but what makes our staff the most excited is when they get that great compliment from an event organizer or team manager saying, thanks for helping us put on a great event, and you were that extension of that with the partnership. Like, that's what our staff get the most excited about when we do the shout outs. It's not this number or this number. We love numbers, but it truly is when we know we're making a difference, however that is supporting our partners. So I couldn't agree there, the importance of the relationships and being a team on this.
Well, I don't know how you guys do it. I'll give you a shout out, because it's very rare, and I say this genuinely, it's very rare when I deal with a company that has multiple employees that every single person that I talk to in the company is just a good dude, a great woman to talk to, a great guy to talk to. It doesn't feel fake. It feels genuine, and even at the end of there's so many people that even at the end of the day, if I'm not going to do business with them necessarily, I still enjoy when I get to see them at every one of these conferences.
Sure.
People coming up giving me hugs that I didn't know 9 months ago and everything, that now I'm talking to on a regular basis, and guys like yourself that we run into each other at all these conferences, and I just enjoy hanging out and having conversations with you. Whether it's business or it's just talking personal.
Yeah, no, it's I think that's how we think of our event. It's a sports team ourselves, right? We got our own little team here, and we got to have a lot of good people, and but it's a fun industry. Let's be honest.
We do.
Cool.
You do have some fun people. You missed a good dinner last night.
I'm sure I did. I can't keep up with some of these guys. Yeah. Hey, Brian, appreciate it always, buddy. Keep doing awesome things, and we'll keep very close here and enjoy tonight, I'm sure.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it, and hopefully looking forward to doing some business together in the future.
Amazing, Brian.
Thanks so much for having me on.
Thanks, buddy.